From the swamp to the stars, it is that time of the night once again where we head on over to little Timmy Senor down in Oregon. Let's drive the I-5 for the UFO report.
Nobody's gonna know.
They're gonna know.
It's always a good time to have Tim Senor here, the Timinator, the Timbit, Timmy, whatever you want to call him. We love him around here. That's a nice shirt you're wearing tonight, Tim. I'm not going to lie. That is a nice shirt.
It's not for everyone. You either love it or hate it. You know, it's been called a bowling shirt here and there, I think, by friends and family. But, you know, bowlers are athletes. So.
Who do you think you are? I am. Remember that? Pete Weber?
Right.
Who do you think you are? I am. Most powerful bowling quote that doesn't make sense ever.
Right. It leaves you wondering, what does that mean? But yeah, have your tailor call my tailor. We'll see if we can get you one of these babies.
I need one. Mm-hmm. I better hit up my fashionista, Kira, to see if she will approve of Dave getting a shirt like that.
It's pretty wicked.
It is a nice shirt. It's a very nice shirt.
It's not for everyone, though.
Oh. Yeah. It's only not for everyone if you can't find the size.
Or astigmatism.
Right? Lots of UFO news coming up here, going on here. And Ross Coulthart, journalist extraordinaire from Australia, who has been all over this UFO topic regarding disclosure, regarding everything that's kind of going on with it. He was on a Twitter space earlier, and he had some pretty profound comments of things that you and I had been talking about, along with Random Guy recently, about UFOs and whether or not they're being hidden in plain sight. Take us down this road.
Yeah, it was earlier today. Ross Coulthart was openly discussing his opinions and perhaps giving his opinion based on some of his knowledge and research. And within that discussion, he did come out and say that he suspects that whistleblowers are revealing to Congress currently that there is an existence of a legacy UFO program and non-human intelligence. And he expects that information to leak at some point simply because that's the way the government works, that it tends to leak. So it's really interesting information. And he does think that the world is on the cusp of a momentous change. So definitely profound words coming from Ross. But what do you consider he means by this momentous change? Is that the understanding of an alien presence here?
I don't know. I'm going to bring up the audio here, okay, because I want our audience to be able to hear it. This is from a Twitter space earlier on today, and hopefully this works. And because I'm always unsure about this kind of stuff when we do it, so hopefully it works, and we can kind of get this going here.
I can tell you, there are people other than Lou Elizondo who are coming forward, who are giving evidence both to ARO and the Congress, and there are others lining up who have far more to tell than Elizondo. I really can tell you there is room for optimism here. We are looking at, I think, quite astonishing revelations coming out in the Congress. And yes, I appreciate most of them are being made in secure SCIFs, secure compartmentalized information facilities where secrets aren't meant to leak. But as we all know, the Congress does leak and will leak. And I think, you know, if, for example, the existence of a legacy program or a non-human intelligence is revealed to Congress, as I suspect it is, it will come out. And I do think that the world is on the cusp of momentous change. I really do. And I'm loving it. It's fantastic because I'm speaking to some of the people who are either weighing giving evidence or have given evidence. And boy, if they've told the Congress what they've told me, it's mind-blowing.
Mind-blowing. Now, I know you're very pro whistleblower on this, and I have kind of been more skeptical about all of this. But when you hear that comment from Ross, what are your first thoughts, Tim?
Oh, well, quite honestly, I listened to the entire recording, and within that, he does say that he suspects that some of these whistleblowers are scientists. And so that leads me down the road that I could guess that perhaps one of those whistleblowers was, per se, Gary Nolan, hypothetically. And so we know the story that Gary Nolan talks about. And so that would be pretty mind-blowing if that was the kind of information being passed on to Congress.
Gary Nolan claims to be an experiencer of the phenomena as well, which is what has him, well, it's kind of motivated him to become one of the top scientists, not only in this field, but at Stanford University, a very prestigious school down in California as well. I mean, one of the things that I took from it was it almost seems that there is this hidden group of people who are in the know. And it's a very small group of people who are in the know. And recently we've kind of been joking on this show that maybe Banachek from Transformers, the original one in 2008, who allegedly worked for Sector 7. Okay, maybe that isn't so far off as we speak. Now, we've asked Random Guy about that, and he has said, no, I don't see that happening. He's very much, in the know with information that he knows. But I don't know. I mean, your thoughts. Do you think there is some sort of hidden agenda or hidden group in there that is maybe steering the entire UFO story and narrative?
Well, I think that there's definitely a drive towards certain narratives. So we know that there's a push for the fact that there are things in our airspace that we need to be aware of that are mundane. Now let's push all of that aside and focus on the stuff that isn't. And I feel like there is definitely an interest there. And in fact, you and I had talked quite recently about there being a civilian oversight committee at some point where we could get information like this and not have to sit back and wait on our laurels for information, but all of us be within the know at the same time. And I would love to just tell you right now that I discovered recently that there is, in fact, a dedicated civilian oversight committee that has been established for the exact purpose of keeping the public informed in the ongoing public disclosure on UAP. And so, created by Robert Salas, the formation of the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Action Committee, or the UAPAC. And so this was actually announced back in September of 2022. But this is an ongoing push to put information in the public's hands, and you can go to their website and get information, up-to-date information. In fact, even on the current whistleblowers that may be talking to Congress from this source. And so we don't have to feel so out of touch with a committee like this working in our favor. And so if you'd like more information on that, I'm happy to read on it because I have their website up. But
we do have time, so give credit to the website and then read it up.
Absolutely. And so this is through Newswires, and the news was provided by UAPAC. And again, that was an organization created by Robert Salas, who we know is a massive purveyor of this topic in front of the White House. So that is going to be established September 1st. coming forward with the acknowledgement by the U.S. Director of National Intelligence in 2021 that the UAP probably do represent physical objects and present phenomenon that must be understood in the interest of flight safety and national security. It is now incumbent upon government to begin the process informing the public of their knowledge of the phenomenon. And so government transparency has been practically non-existent with respect to the UAP phenomenon, and the excessive secrecy with respect to the UAP has existed for at least 80 years. And to address this issue, Congress enacted laws to require more openness about UAP. However, it remains to be seen how the Pentagon and the intelligence community will respond to the groundbreaking legislative requirements. And so, in consideration of the fact that governments are slow to act, politicians are generally not qualified to assimilate the technical scope of such a phenomenon in a dedicated and timely manner, and that discovery and disclosure are subject to political influences. A dedicated civilian oversight committee has been established for the purpose of keeping the public informed in the ongoing and pertinent public disclosure on UAP. And so the UAPAC will advocate for greater openness, engage in review of the activities of the congressional UAP oversight committees, offer support to those who help advance the study of UAP and take steps that ensure a fair and impartial review of the UAP itself. And so the mission statement of the UAPAC is to provide information to the public about disclosure activities of our government and its elected and appointed officials regarding the UAP and challenges that disclosure represents to the peoples of the world. And so it's pretty simple and straightforward. And then it just goes on to detail from this source information. So such as the UAPAC calls for open congressional hearings on the UAP phenomenon, and the All Anomaly Resolution Office, or ARROW, receives testimony of interference by UAP with nuclear missiles. And so by going to that, you can go to the actual testimony that took place, and you can find out all of the details that are given in front of Congress as each whistleblower comes forward. And so information like this is out there, and we just need to look for it. It's going to be one of these things that we are going to start seeing a lot more of, though. And again, with this inference from Ross Coulthart, we can definitely see that some of the players in the UAP world are definitely stepping up to the plate and going before Congress. And so we're just going to have to dig to find out who those people are.
One question I do have is, we got about 4.5 minutes. With all of these so-called whistleblowers that are coming forward and giving their testimony in private quarters, what is wrong with doing this publicly? I have a beef with that. I don't understand where, the U.S. government, or any government in general, it's not just the U.S. government who does this, but any government in general will have private quarters meetings like this. When Twitter or Facebook or any of the other monster social media pages where they were caught censoring people are put right in front of the cameras, getting questions grilled by them, by the politicians, in regards to, getting answers. Why are we not allowed to have the answers when it comes to this subject? And don't give me, and I'm not saying this to you, Tim, I'm saying this in general. Don't give me the national security rhetoric. Because if Robert Salas is talking about it, he's already gone public. If Kevin Day from the USS Nimitz has gone public, we already know his story. If Gary Nolan from Stanford University has testified, We already know his story. So what is the big secret here? You can always blur out someone's face. If they don't want to be on camera, you can always pixelate their face, and you can, change the sound of their voice if it's a security agent that you want to keep in the dark, like another Elizondo or somebody like that. But even with Elizondo, if he testified, I want his story. When do we get to deserve what we want? Tim, your thoughts?
Yeah, and I mean, I quite honestly agree with you, but I'm not going to spill out the whole ways and means should be kept from us because of secrecy. I'm not going to spill out my theory of why it's kept secret, because I think we both can guess why. But I honestly do feel that there's an element of it that they don't feel like we can handle as the public. And I don't think it's how they got the information or our technology or any of that. I feel like there's an element that is probably, the 5% of the conversation maybe that they talk about, then once they get down to the nitty gritty. And I would consider that the part that they don't want the public to know, that may be that ET reality that they don't want to talk about, because they aren't really even prepared to react to it yet. They're still very much in the learning stage, right? And so a lot of that would be kept hush hush. And let's consider for a moment that that is the element that they're keeping hush hush. Maybe for some reason they're waiting to release it in a way that we will be able to handle. I'm only assuming, but if you were to go with the breadcrumbs that have been led by people that seem to know, you can assume that at some point there will be a breakthrough. Even Ross Coulthart says that, we're close to a momentous change. And I tend to agree with that. It does feel like we're ramping up to something.
What is that something? So we got about 30 seconds.
Well, I feel like that something would be the ET conversation. Whether they just softly hit us with, we need to be prepared for something from outside our solar system. Fantastic. Let's talk about that. Or even just off this planet. I think, that's enough for most people in the public realm. Just the discussion of being prepared, I think, would be the breakthrough topic.
All right, Tim Senor, we're going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to our final break of the night here on Spaced Out Radio. Our resident Timbit, Tim Senor, and the UFO Report continues right after this. And when we get back, some UFO names like Stephen Greenstreet, George Knapp, and Jeremy Corbell kind of get into it at an alien UFO conference in California. We will be right back on Spaced Out Radio. All right, we're clear.
Dave, you're in a funny place in the media when you're reporting the reporters in the news. Like reporting on the reporters. It happens. Yeah. It's just interesting.
It happens sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good stuff. I've got a couple other little chunks to drop on you that you may not be ready for. Is RG hanging out tonight or?
No, RG, are you coming in later?
I don't have chat up, so.
See if I got his Twitter up here.
Because I guess that could kind of guide how I roll this out.
Yes. Yeah, we'll throw him the old message here. If he wants to join us, he can.
So when I asked my family if I would be missed if I just disappeared one day, the only reason that they said they would notice is because dinner wouldn't be there. They'd be like, "Where's dinner? Has anyone seen dinner?" Isn't that just the funniest thing for them to collectively respond with? I guess that's my contribution to the family. Unbelievable. Oh, and I did get a wink, and someone said, "When will we get, or no, where will we get our fake UFO news?" Fake UFO news. Smack.
Nice.
Wow. I don't know where to start with that.
I don't know either.
Jokesters. Jokesters is what they are. Laughing. Yeah. Timbits. Wait till I become the intimidator. Right?
You got a lot of timming to do before then. A lot of timming.
I'm enjoying that. Well, I'll tim it up.
Yeah, random guy. I've sent you the link on Twitter. It's a random Monday, guy. Random Monday.
You never know what you're going to get with that guy. Will it be wig? Will it be shirt?
Maybe. You looking forward to Las Vegas there, Timmy?
Yeah, is it coming up soon? I'm already booked in. Is it soon?
2 months. Just over 2 months.
2 months. Okay, I got time. All right. Got to make a Vegas pile in a shoebox. Money to burn, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't go to Vegas looking to win. You just can't. You just got to look at this fun.
No, you'll just wait for me to go to sleep again.
That was just timing. I was trying to get rid of what I had left in my pockets. I had some tickets and
500 bones.
Immediately, he was walking. I don't even know if you were in the elevator at the time. If you looked right, you might have seen me with a crazy look on my face. But I didn't want to tell you the whole time. I didn't tell you, did I? Until later. Unbelievable.
You told me the next morning when we went for breakfast.
There we go.
Yep. It's good smelling stuff here.
What are you spraying?
It's called Black Moon Aromatherapy Mist. And it smells like a
Black Moon.
Smells like an orange. What is it? It's a blend of citrus, vanilla, black pepper, uplift, and inspire.
Yeah.
Wow, dude, it's just a.
You seem like a beard oil guy. Do you oil that thing?
I can oil it right now.
You oil your beard?
You have to.
Do you? I mean, I've heard of it.
You just
if you had a mustache, would you twirl it?
You just drop a little bit in your hand like that.
Okay.
And then
He's got beard oil, y'all.
Just.
And is there what is the element to that? Is that a spicy thing?
No, but it's time to go on the air, so you got to keep quiet. Here we go. We're rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Reminder to all of you that if you've missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Little Timmy Sino, our resident Timbit, continues on with the UFO report and little controversy happening at a UFO conference called AlienCon down in, I believe, Pasadena, California, where journalist George Knapp and documentarian Jeremy Corbell got into a couple of heated questions with New York Post reporter and resident UFO skeptic and UFO topic hater, Stephen Greenstreet. What went on here, man?
Yeah, so I'll just give you a breakdown because Stephen Greenstreet went ahead and tweeted the whole situation that took place at the event. And so I'm just going to give this to you as the tweet reads. And so in part one of the tweet, Stephen Greenstreet says, I had the opportunity to ask questions during the Q&A panel with George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell at AlienCon. And at that moment, Stephen Greenstreet with the Greenstreet asked, he says, Stephen Greenstreet with the New York Post, I have a few questions for you. And he says, George is laughing. I have a few questions for you, but I'll ask the one that I'm personally curious about your insight. So the briefing slides that Dre Stratton produced with the green triangles, those have been demonstrated pretty clearly to be out of focus stars. And then Jeremy interrupts here and says, hold on. You can ask a question, but let's make sure, because you're holding a microphone right now, your opinion publicly right here is that those have been demonstrated to be out of focus stars. That's your opinion, just to make sure we get that straight. So now continue with your question. And then Greenstreet continues and says, okay. And even Travis Taylor has come out and said that he believes that these are out of focus stars. My question, why so much restraint in star explanation? What do you have that makes you say, no, the star's explanation doesn't make sense? And something like flying pyramids makes more sense than out of focus stars. And so George Knapp decides to answer the question and says, you'll hear it this afternoon from Jay Stratton. There's a lot more information that was available behind the scenes than was made public. And I know that Mr. Bray, during the public hearing, showed a video of something that was bokeh on the East Coast and that proved what was seen on the West Coast was the same thing. There's a rangefinder. They shot that off the deck of that ship. Whatever that object was that was closest was 700 feet off the deck of the ship. If it had been bokeh, as it was explained to me by the guys who studied it and prepared that report, you know, the 3 PhDs, the optical physicists that analyzed that stuff, and they figured out that if bokeh was the explanation, it would be the stars that look like pyramids, not the object that was close to the ship. But, you know, I'm not an expert on that stuff. I do listen to people who are experts as opposed to people online who do their own analysis from home. And they have a lot more information than what was made public. And, you know, I wish I had access to it all. Corbell chimes in and says, it sounds like you know it's funny the way you premise things before you ask the question. All the premises up that question are really interesting to me. So the thing is this, you're saying that I have an opinion on something. Well, you clearly have not been listening to anything that I've said since we released those images, but that's okay. My wife claims I have selective hearing, which I think might be true, but we can talk about it. Greenstreet asks, you said these were pyramids just yesterday. Corbell says, I think what we should do is we should have people talk for themselves. So I think Travis Taylor should talk for himself. I think Jay Stratton should talk for himself. But when you ask somebody what do they have their opinion on, or but your premise with all that stuff, the reason I have an opinion is because maybe I have spent a lot of time understanding it on a deeper level. And maybe, just maybe, that's not an isolated thing. And just maybe that's a much bigger part of the thing that occurred. But I think the distinguishing thing is that in Jay's slide, the triangles from an angle of observation, yet pyramid in shape, and other documents. Let's hear what Jay has to say. Knapp says, tell you what, this afternoon, I'm going to be talking to Jay and Travis, and I plan to ask them about it, and I'm happy to expand on that. And then Greenstreet says, thank you, Jeremy. So you believe that those are not stars in the slide, but flying pyramids. You personally believe that. And this is when the AlienCon security breaks in. So he breaks in and says, you only get one question. And Corbell says, so you want some quote that you can take out of context and put in some magazine or what? And then that's just part one. Part two starts out with Greenstreet saying, I was just curious what you thought. AlienCon security breaks in again. You only get one question. I love that this is included. Corbell says, so basically, here's the deal. If you want to know what I think, you should just go and look at everything that what I've said about it. I'm convinced that what you're seeing there's a shape to what it is. It's representative of what you're seeing. But the thing is, let's say I'm wrong. Right. Let's find out. Let's go deeper. Let's go into this information together. Because again, I'm not hanging my hat on a single image produced by our military. That's their job. What I do is put it out and report on what they reported. But I don't think that this is the time or place to be dealing with it with this much energy. And then Knapp says, and I think we reported on it and I think we reported it based on what they said. So what we are saying is they said from the angle of observation that it appeared to be pyramids. Greenstreet says, thank you guys. And then that was it. The crowd was probably dead silent with their jaws on their laps. Wow.
We know there's no love lost between George Knapp, Jeremy Corbell, and their team, and skeptics like Mick West or New York Post Stevens Greenstreet. You know, I have my own opinions on this, where I think there is a real divisiveness within the UFO community that starts with people like Greenstreet and West, who are out there not to be debunkers, but out there to try and shame people for giving this topic a little bit more credence than maybe they feel it should. Now, I just have a hard time, okay, because I am a big George Knapp fan, very big George Knapp fan. Jeremy is his own person. I neither love him or hate him. All right. But George Knapp is, in my opinion, is a legend in this field. He has won multiple journalism awards. And for people, even some who are not journalists, to say that he's breaking some sort of code or pact or anything, he still hasn't been fired from KLAS TV in Las Vegas. And he's been there over 42 years. So the idea that, you know, a lot of people will say, well, tenure means nothing. Well, his sources have given him a lot of information. That's him doing his job. I don't expect the public to fully understand or comprehend that. But as a journalist, you have to have your sources. And George has dug in long enough where his sources trust him. You know, but the idea behind it that Greenstreet just, in his own quote, wouldn't get off the hook, even though they said Travis Taylor from Skinwalker Ranch Television and one of the top scientists in the the United States when it comes to UFOs, give them time to answer the question. Don't just throw it out there, another question out there, if you know they've already stated to you that they'll line something up with Travis Taylor. But on the flip side, I get a little upset, Tim, because we've seen Brandon Fugel, who is a fan of ours, the owner of Skinwalker Ranch. I've asked him if I could go on Skinwalker Ranch. I got to know. But he'll bring on somebody like Stephen Greenstreet, who doesn't even believe the phenomena exists, let alone to try and experience the phenomena. We've seen this happen with other people in the field. Oh, you're a big time skeptic? Well, come with me. Let's try and figure this out together. Whereas in the meantime, other people kind of get screwed out of an opportunity. I don't know why we're trying to appease the Stephen Greenstreets or the Mick Wests of this field. Now, I'm not saying they're not bad people, because I think they are good people. Okay, everybody has something good in them. But at some point, you got to draw the line. Say, you know what, Stephen? You're a journalist. Your opinion doesn't matter. Why? Because you're a journalist. Call it down the middle. Tim, your thoughts?
Yeah, and I understand exactly what you're saying, but this is such a tantalizing topic that you got to know when you're being fed the truth or a lie. And the fact of the matter is, Skinwalker Ranch is incredibly tantalizing, and it's even attracted Stephen Greenstreet himself. He has gone there to see if he could experience something of the phenomenon. And I think that's great, because it may help him find his own personal journey. But when it comes to reporting on this, you're absolutely right that you have to stay right down the middle on things, and you can't draw your conclusion before you've already asked a question, especially in this case. And so it does feel like there was some fuel to his fire when he was asking, but perhaps he may know some truth, and maybe he's pushing on those buttons simply because he's looking for that truth to come out. Now, again, I'm not saying that there's anything to be reported on here other than the fact that this took place. I don't pick sides. I find the whole thing just very funny that it took place in public, because it's really not the place for something like this. And in fact, I wanted to ask you very briefly, Dave, because I know you go to a lot of conventions, and I do too, events like this. Do you feel like using conventions are places for political agendas typically, for, manipulating beliefs and consciousness for political agendas? It's been said that conventions are geared towards UFO nuts. Now, that's not me, that's a quote, that are seen as easily manipulated by pseudoscience, and that potentially CIA operatives consider infiltrating the UFO community via podcasts and and political positions.
Well, we got random guy.
Right.
We got random guy.
I guess I never thought of that, but
who quoted that?
Oh, it would have been one of the websites that I was researching for tonight. I can find out.
Here's the problem with that quote.
Yeah.
The likelihood of that person going to a UFO conference is probably slim to none. Okay?
Right.
And I hate it when people like this use their power of authority to give an op-ed piece to absolutely slam a community they know nothing about.
Right.
All right? There are a lot of things I don't know about. I don't understand people who waste their time playing Dungeons and Dragons for days on end, or one of those games that doesn't end.
What about the political agenda push, though, that potentially, they could be like more of the threat narrative opposed to the reality of UFOs being maybe not a threat?
Okay, so the question is, if you took somebody like Mick West, or you took another skeptic like Stephen Greenstreet, okay, my question to you is this. If you hate this community so much and you don't believe this community so much, why are you wasting your time inside the community? Are you doing it for fun? Are you doing it to make fun of people? Okay, you've already stated you don't believe it. Okay, so what are you doing here? I know if I don't like something, I don't do it. I hate soccer. I'm not about to go to a soccer match to appease anybody, to watch the hooliganism and try and cry my eyes out when watching parents actually allow their children to play such a hideous game. I'm not going to put myself in that position because I know what I'll do. I'll make fun of people. So why are they feeling that they have to be the anti-UFO deities that are and yes, Stargazer in the chat room. Yes, I do like curling. It's good sport.
Can I
Good
follow up very briefly with Mick West's comment from AlienCon? And this is why I was kind of getting geared towards this, because what he took from his listening to Jay Stratton speak was one interesting nugget, and this is the quote from Twitter. One interesting nugget from AlienCon was former UAPTF head Jay Stratton confirming what I've long suspected, that the upgrade to the F-18 nose radar around the 2014 made them highly sensitive. And so the pilots, like he speaks on someone here, were reporting balloons in many cases. And so what he's saying is that with that upgrade, a lot of the reports they were getting on UAP were balloons. And he felt that Jay Stratton's speech at the convention supported his theory on that. And so we can kind of see how it's being polarized a little bit. You know, someone can take something that Jay Stratton said and use it in the exact opposite way, fueling the fact that this may not be that, and it's something that we need to, you know what I mean?
I know what you're saying. Okay. And I think Mick West is a little bit more open than what he wants to be. He just wants to be highly critical to make sure in his mind that the information that comes out is 100% legit.
Fact.
Okay. But he's also the kind of guy who is you could have an alien standing right in front of him and he's going to call it bokeh. Like there just never seems to be pleasing them. I'm all for skepticism. You have to be skeptical, especially around this subject. You do. But you know what? Not everybody is trying to throw a wrench at this. People wouldn't waste this much time, Tim, in bringing out videos and releasing videos and doing all of this stuff just to screw not only with the UFO public, which is a very fringe minority of society, but the rest of the world as well.
Right. Well, there must be, yeah.
And hold on, one other thing I want to bring up about Mick West. Okay, this man is a video game expert. He made his millions through video games, especially Tony Hawk's skateboarding. How does that make him a UFO expert? He's never seen a UFO. He's never experienced a UFO. And he walks in to our community and starts ripping everything apart that we don't know what we're talking about, treating many people in this community like they're stupid. Whether that's his goal or his intention, I don't know. I've only interviewed the man once. I would interview him again. But it really keys on me wondering, who do people like him and Stephen Greenstreet work for? Are they on another payroll that maybe we should know about? Because they're sure wasting a lot of time and energy and money going to places about a subject they don't believe in.
I think it's important to have a hard-nosed analytical approach to everything. And I have to admit that there's been times when Mick West has come up with a result quicker than I have. There's been times that I've had a hunch and it's come up to be something that he eventually came up with. There's been times when he comes up with stuff that I totally disagree with. But I think it's simply because I come from a much more passive place. Like, I don't think every case can be explained. So I have that gray box wide open, and I feel like he doesn't have a gray box. No matter what that case is, there's going to be an explanation, even if he has to kind of force it, perhaps. That's just me saying. But I feel like we have to have these people that hard-nose this stuff at some point. And I feel like Stephen Greenstreet is looking for the truth, and he'd love to report on it, but he would at the same rate love to report a UFO.
And on that note, you got the final word on that tonight, Tim. You beat me out on it. You wasted the clock, so I couldn't respond. Good job for you. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. I know you're out there somewhere. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we got room for them too. Good night.